Welcome to the Six Again podcast, your new destination for all things NRL. Here to bring you everything from team news to best bets are your hosts Adam Hoy and Jared Newton. Let's kick off.
Hello and welcome in once again to the Six Again podcast. Coming at you as always from Sunshine Coast, Queensland, Australia. My name's Adam, completely overtired, but really looking forward to this episode. And with me is Jared, a day before his 7th birthday. 28th, damn. And back after a 5-day camping bender. And actually looking more refreshed than I am.
Yeah, the camping was good. Birthday, it's not going to be that special. Me and Adam are actually going to go play golf tomorrow afternoon. And then we're going to go to the sports club and watch the NRL fight nights.
Oh, yeah. Easiest night of boxing to pick ever. I feel like we're going to lose a lot
the
of
main
money.
event is Papali, current Australian front rower, versus Hannett, who's retired for 7 years or whatever it is. Like,
True.
Full credit to Hannett for doing it, but like I feel like Alex Leapi's cousin will beat the shit out of Hannett.
Yeah, most likely. But it would be good to watch anyway. Good on Hannett for getting in the...
Yeah. Good
I
on them
never
all.
realised why
Pretty
they
sure-
call it a ring, because it's square. Anyway.
All of it's going to charity, which is good. I know Junior Paulo's doing a special one to his heart, something about disabilities. So it'd be a good night. It'd be mainly fun night. I think that's the idea of it. They're not going to go out there to overly hurt each other. So
Yeah, I hope it's one of those ones where if you're in the crowd and a mouth guard gets knocked out, you get to keep it. You don't have to give it back. That'd be...
no, not with COVID. You wouldn't be able to do that.
True. So I didn't even think of that. That sucks.
Yeah.
Be part of paying the money to get in. I feel like I've written something down for last episode that we didn't get to. Oh, the jerseys. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
We need to rank the home and away jerseys, and I did have that written down somewhere. But anyway, we'll get to that later on.
Wait. Tell everyone about our afternoon this afternoon.
Yeah, don't say it like that. All right, guys. So we promised you tonight's episode was going to include Jamie Soward. He did not bail. He held up his end of the bargain. For the second time in 2 years on this podcast, we forgot about daylight saving. And with Jared coming back from camping and me being at my school swimming carnival all day, I left the pool and it was 2:45 Queensland time, and our meeting with Jamie Soward was 3:45 Queensland time. I looked at my phone, had a message from Jamie Soward going, what's the code? Ready to go. And I went, oh shit, we did it again. And so by the time we got to Jared's house and we got set up, Jamie Soward had a meeting booked that he had to get to. So we're going to have to reschedule. So Canberra and Melbourne fans, wait on. We will get to it. So in the end, I'm sitting at Jared's house and then get a call from the missus saying, hey, we just bought a couch, which was an hour drive away to my house, another 40-minute drive to pick the couch up, another 40-minute drive back home. So I got home about 8 p.m., 45 minutes ago and ready to go. I think I could.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, something like that. And just want to do a shout out before we start. A couple of fans we actually got to, a couple of listeners we got to meet. Chris and Rob in local baseball comp. And thank you also to Carly for reaching out and interacting with the podcast and giving us some awesome feedback. So we're going to jump straight into injuries and suspensions, and the random injuries at trainings just keep on coming. We'll get to that after I crack my beer.
And what beer is it this week, Adam?
I can't get away from Black Hops. I just love everything they do. I'm going back to an old favorite. Just their pale ale, nice black, yellow, simple can. Very nice. Very cruisy beer. I'm going to enjoy that as I always do. So going into injuries, we have Tom Gilbert, who I had in my starting 13 for the North Queensland Cowboys for round 1, has actually broken his fibula at training and will miss the start of the season. He doesn't need leg surgery, but the healing time for that, you're looking at a 6 to 8 week period, which is really unfortunate. He's a very promising young player for the Cowboys and definitely not something that Todd Payton would want this close to the season. You're looking at probably Payne Haas or Shane Wright to jump in there and take that spot if indeed Gilbert had cemented a starting spot. In other news, Carl Felt says he'll be ready for the start of the season after recovering from the groin injury he sustained in the back half of last season. Let's have a look there. Veteran forwards Wade Graham and Kevin Proctor withdrew from the Indigenous and Maori All-Star Games on Tuesday. Kevin Proctor is suffering from a hamstring issue and will be replaced in the squad by Zane Musgrove out of the Tigers. He's still expected to be fit for round 1. Meanwhile, Graham is unable to play due to a perforated eardrum, which I've had myself, and it's not fun. He's been replaced by Manly's Zach Sadler, who featured for the Indigenous team last year. And Tyrell Fuimaono has been promoted from the bench to the starting side. David Fafita thumb and Tino Fasamawale are nursing minor injuries, thumb and knee respectively. They both trained on Tuesday and should be ready for trials. Josh Dugan suffered a neck injury scare at training. No way. Was taken in an ambulance as a precaution. And we already knew about Anthony Milford's broken hand and Boyd Cordner's repeated concussion, so we will not go over them. So Sharks fans, Titans fans, Sharks fans again, and who was the first one? Titans fans again. So make sure you be looking out for those, and Cowboys fans as well with the 2 at the top. Woo! With regard,
don't forget, hold up. Lachlan Fitzgibbon.
Oh, yes. Lachlan Fitzgibbon
missed the first 4 rounds of the season due to shoulder surgery.
Yes.
Wishing all the best for his recovery. I think he had his surgery yesterday or today.
So 4-week turnaround for a shoulder. Injury is very short. So
No, that'd be 8 weeks.
That's still
because it's
okay. At least
4
weeks of the season, of course. Yeah.
4 weeks
of
8 weeks. First round. Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Newcastle take another hit. Great.
That's it. On the suspension side of things, after Payne Haas was a very naughty boy with some bad language, he's been suspended for 3 games on top of a $50,000 fine for intimidating police. Say what you will about the punishment. Remembering he did avoid a criminal conviction, was issued a 2-year good behaviour bond. So he said he would accept the punishment after being served the breach notice. It's roughly 9% of his Broncos salary, and it's the maximum Haas could be fined by the league under the NRL rules. So they pretty much did as much as they could. They may have added a couple extra games onto that, but that's still a pretty big hit for a Broncos team who need to start the season on the front foot. And considering he's only 21, he's already one of their most experienced. So,
geez, I would be legitimately scared for him, for everybody in the competition if he debuted 15 years ago when Webke and Sivanasi were there. Imagine them walking out with them every week and having Haas as their backup. Oh, yes. The attitude, the bloody toughness, the fact that he's not leading it. So he's their big guy, the forward pack. It's disappointing.
Yeah, and neither of us are Broncos supporters, but Payne Haas is one of my favourite players to watch.
Oh, yeah. I just don't like that he's got so much on his shoulders already as a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we just think that. So in other news as well, we covered the DUIs by Corey Hawira-Naira and Corey Horsburgh last week very briefly. Canberra coach Ricky Stewart said he's unlikely to pick either of them in round 1 due to their recent involved off-field incidents. And while 1 week might not seem like, it's not a lot considering the seriousness of their breach, but in that forward pack, these are two of the guys that are going to be consistently fighting out for probably one starting position in the back row. You'd assume Joseph Tarpany pretty much have locked one of them down, and Elliot Whitehead the other. You've got Corey Horsburgh, Hudson Young, Corey Hawera-Naira,
Ryan James.
Ryan James. Oh, yeah, unless he plays prop, but then you've got Papali. Yeah, so missing round one could mean also a bench spot for the next 4 or 5 rounds if everyone else puts their front foot again forward and plays well out of the gates. So keep an eye on that one. Also from last week, we were talking about the expansion team bids. It's come to life through the week that come to light through the week, that there will definitely be a mid-season announcement from the NRL with regards to whether a 17th team will be admitted to the comp in 2023, and also the identity of the new franchise is going to be obviously the biggest NRL story throughout the season until it's announced. So anticipation is building. All the coverage at the moment is around the Brisbane bids. It's looking more and more likely it's going to be a Brisbane team. And this will be the first expansion team since the Titans came in 2007. So just to fill in, that's between the East Tigers bid, which are the Brisbane Firehawks, the joint bid from the Western Corridor and Brisbane Bombers, which are now the Brisbane Jets. Brisbane Jets?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's going to be Brisbane Bombers and Ipswich Jets. So it'll be Brisbane Jets. And then also Redcliffe Dolphins showcase their facilities throughout the past week, and they're better than a lot of the NRL teams' facilities. And
Manly.
Newcastle.
Hey, we've got a performance centre, thank you very much.
And Manly will have one finished by the end of this year. So, ours will be newer than yours. And
yeah, but we have one right now, so my joke's more relevant.
Yeah, all right. There's an interesting article up on NRL.com at the moment breaking down what the expansion team bids really need to have ready to go in order to be successful. And it's looking along the lines of pretty much $15 million in startup costs, be able to achieve up to $30 million in annual revenue. But the hardest things, I think, to attract new fans and sponsors without cannibalizing or ripping apart the Broncos supporter base, because the Broncos are so important.
I have no problem with that happening.
Well, the weaker Bronco means a weaker comp generally because of the money.
Yeah, but I just can't wait to see the Broncos supporters suffer because they've had it so good for so long.
Well, I think it'll go the opposite way. If this new team comes in, it's in the Brisbane area, the derbies between those two is going to be even larger viewing. So
I just mean when was the last time you saw someone of David Fafita's potential getting ripped out of Broncos? I understand there's that kind of stuff, but when a team does well in Queensland and Broncos aren't, this kind of stuff's happening. And since '88, Brisbane have had dibs, really. It's only been the last 15 years or so when, ever since Cronk, Slater and
Thurston
Smith got dragged out of Queensland, Thurston to a point as well.
Yeah, Thurston got taken by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, no, but, Broncos have lost the talent. 20 years ago, they would have picked up all of them.
Yeah,
so
that's what you're getting at.
That's why I'm happy about that.
It's
had some competition for it.
Look back on the South Queensland Crushers bid and why it failed, but other parts of it why it was successful. So, like generating sponsorship and all that sort of stuff. You're looking at the Dolphins bid. Now, Dolphins are going to be dropping their Redcliffe title. They're putting that up for fan debate at the moment, or fan survey of what they should be called. The reason behind that is a new team coming in that area, if they keep the title of where they're from, like Ipswich or Redcliffe, it's going to alienate followers who live in Brisbane but don't go for the Broncos. if they also don't live in Redcliffe, there's not going to be a tie there. Whereas if it's a broader name like a South Queensland Dolphins or something along those lines, there's a greater chance that they'll be able to drag in a greater membership, viewership, all that sort of stuff, which is what's required. So it's a shame. Redcliffe Dolphins have been around, since the 40s as well. They're a very long-standing club, and the Dolphins' name's synonymous with them, but you can see the understanding behind it as well.
See, this is what annoys me about it. Yes, for an NRL team to come into fruition, you need a checklist of things like Adam said, this amount of money, a stadium, this, and this. But for a team to actually be successful, they've actually got to win. That's the bottom line. They've got to attract good players, and they've got to win straight away.
See, Titans.
Well, that's the point. Titans have made the finals once in their history since I think they came in 2008. That's 13 years now. They went into receivership, so NRL had to actually bail them out of losing all their money about 5 years after they came into the competition, and I think they're still heavily propping them up. So this is the biggest expectation that Gold Coast have had throughout their whole history this year. And whoever comes into this competition, modern history is actually working against them. So the Warriors, when they came in, they lost the premiership, lost the grand final a couple of years after they came in. Ever since then, I think they came close once. They've financially struggled in a country of their own. The only team in modern history, actually, 88, we'll say two new teams came in 88, Newcastle and Broncos. Broncos, obviously, the powerhouse, an exception to the rule, where someone's come in and they've been successful. Newcastle have gone to receivership twice, only won 2 premierships in the whole period. There's a whole heap of teams that came in during the Super League that failed miserably after the Super League. So that's the biggest thing. Like, if they're going to survive and not go into financial hardship in a couple of years, they can have all these startup costs like every other NRL club has, but they have to win. And that's the only way they're going to keep money going through their doors. They have to win. And that's what I'm worried about. Like, that's where it comes down to in this professional competition. Like, 2020, everyone's going to remember the fact that Broncos came last and Warriors struggled, but no one's going to remember that what Warriors had to do, because all they're going to see is where they came in the ladder. So unless they go successfully straight out of the blocks, this team, I doubt they'll survive, unfortunately, without NRL propping up.
I can see that point of view, but I also think Redcliffe, Western Corridor, Ipswich, Brisbane are all better rugby league markets than the Gold Coast with regards to
100%
fans. So the other side of things that we didn't even look into is they're going to have an elite coach straight out of the straight out of the gate. Because we're talking about where's Wayne Bennett going to coach. He's already said he's going to be interested. You'll have Paul Green, who said he's interested. And Craig Bellamy I'm not going to say likely, but maybe off contract as well, unless he signs an extension with the Storm. So if you're looking at that sort of stuff for 2023, he's starting with brand new facilities, a brand new name, a brand new brand in one of those three potentially as a coach. They're going to get good enough players to be able to be competitive.
Oh yeah,
I assume.
I hope they will.
And I've got to say, the Titans must have made the finals more once because they've played 5 games in finals. And if it was 1 year, they would have won the Premier.
Sorry. Okay. Well, that's still since 2008. That's 2.
Yeah.
That's not a good record.
No. It's not.
With that, like, the thing I'm concerned about is that shit like last year happened. The NRL got lucky, really, that Peter V'landys was there. Otherwise, it would have gone broke. I don't want to see another team that NRL has to continually prop up. Because, you know, they're propped up for the Bulldogs for a few years. They propped up Newcastle for a few years. They're still propping up Gold Coast. I'm pretty sure Tigers are struggling. Did you guys fail? Did you guys go into a bit of debt a couple of years ago as well?
Oh, that was ages ago when you merged with Sydney Bears. Let's not talk about.
Oh, well,
I see your point of view.
I just don't think the NRL can financially keep propping these clubs up.
No, and I wouldn't be surprised if Redcliffe turns a better turnover just based out of these. Most of the NRL clubs will in their first year.
Yeah, so that's the advantage Redcliffe got. They got the money behind them, but that money will drain if they don't win. True.
The upside is the areas where they need to spend the money has already been spent. Whereas Tigers are still, they're just starting the construction on their performance centre, even though Eastside is still awesomely set up ground. There's stuff that they don't have that they will need. And they're just starting work on it now. So
I'm kind of interested to, because in 2008, I didn't really see it coming when Gold Coast came in. But I want to see when the team starts getting developed, when they start buying players and who they are, because they need 30 new players on top of everyone else. So obviously it's going to create new pathways for younger guys.
I'd say a lot will come from the Warriors to start with, because that's their club that they're established with.
Oh, yeah. But I just like the idea of...
Take a few when they get their own license. Redcliffe.
Yeah, I kind of can't wait to see who gets poached straight off the block. Like, you'd think even before they get the thing, or before they get the accreditation from NRL to have the NRL team, you know, they're going to start sounding out coaches.
Well, hopefully the trade periods and stuff will be in by then, so they won't be able to do that. They'll have to wait for free agency like everyone else.
Too.
I know.
They have a completely, and it was just it'll create chaos, and we'll have not enough time to talk about it on this podcast because of what will happen.
That's it. And one thing just to finish on, we're talking about the numbers wise. Any of the three clubs that come in will have close to, they're not going to have as big a grasp, obviously, as someone like Melbourne or the Warriors who have got entire areas. But compared to the rest of the NRL, what's the word I'm looking for here? The region that they'll be drawing viewers and from, Redcliffe's and Brisbane North, so through Moreton Bay and Sunshine Coast, Moreton Bay region is the third largest council area in Australia. Sunshine Coast is the fourth largest. So look at two of the top four largest councils in Australia would be part of the Redcliffe bid. So they've got that going for them. Then you look at the Ipswich one where they'll be sourcing from around 1.5 million people. Tens of thousands of which play rugby league. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. Moving on to signing news. Dean Whare has confirmed his exit from the Penrith Panthers. He's been granted immediate release from the final year of his contract to pursue an opportunity in the Super League with the Catlins Dragons, which they'll really suit his style of footy, the way that they play. His departure comes a day after the Panthers and West Tigers effectively completed a player swap. Young fullback Dane Laurie moving from Penrith to the Tigers, which makes sense for both teams with Adam Dewey suspended, and centre Paul Momorowski heading the other way to Penrith. So when I first saw Dean Whare's exit, I was like, oh, that'll release a bit of pressure on Penrith's backline. And then they traded for Paul Momorowski, who couldn't really crack Melbourne's backline, and nor can he crack the Tigers by the look of it, because it's the second year he's been loaned out. Dane Laurie going from Penrith to the Tigers makes sense, except for the fact that Dylan Edwards gets injured every year, and his backup, Caleb Aikens, is now at the Raiders. So I'm just wondering who's going to then play fullback if Dylan Edwards gets injured again. But I guess they'll find someone.
You know, here's a scary prospect. I'd just stick Stephen Crichton back there.
No chance in hell.
Imagine running him back at back at you. Bloody hell.
Nope. No, you're not moving him from centre. That's his position.
Oof.
No way. Also, Auckland Blues
I'll be worried about that.
signing of Warriors Roger Tuivasa-Sheck with a 2-year deal starting in 2022. It is confirmed. So well done to Roger. All right, I think that is. Oh, sorry. And within the coming days, it should be confirmed that Andrew McCulloch has moved from the Brisbane Broncos to the Dragons. There's nothing like kickstarting a misfiring attack than picking up a hooker of Andrew McCulloch's experience.
Look,
I'm not going to say ability.
see, I originally thought about this, and I forgot one big thing that kind of proves this wrong. So last year when McCulloch went to Newcastle...
Did you just out-justify yourself before you started?
No. Just hold up. So last year when McCulloch came to Newcastle, he came to a young, injury-ravaged team.
Like the Broncos, yeah.
And do you know what he did? He created that experience. And there was one moment that I saw, I can't remember who it was, that another team was kicking the ball down off our drop ball, pretty standard. And they kicked the ball about 20 metres, and there was about 4 of them chasing. But McCulloch was in the lead. He got on top of the ball. It was like a last-minute ditch play to save the try.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was what Newcastle needed. Sorry, you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was against. So I was just sitting there thinking, look, Dragons might need someone like that to have a bit of attitude who's going to do that. But then I sat there thinking, fucking they just got rid of Cameron McInnes and they're going to bring in Andrew McCulloch. Like...
Well, Anthony Griffin's stated when he got there, he wants McInnes to play lock, and McInnes is playing lock this year, so they need a hooker. But you just talked about...
They have a Queensland hooker.
Anyway.
Ben Hunt.
You actually had me thinking then. But then you just said all that about Newcastle McCulloch bringing experience to a young squad who needed it. I'm pretty sure the Broncos would need that right now.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, really, from Brisbane's point of view, from in my opinion, except for the fact that, yes, right now at the start of the season, they're crowded with regards to their halves and versatility spots and who's going to get them. I'd rather have more players than have less need.
Even if you put him on even if you give him the extension, put him on the bench. Look, if someone gets injured, you have a guy who's 250 games experience. You can just like walk in there and be like, "Hey, here you go." Like, I don't understand why they're not re-signing him. Like, they wouldn't get him for more than 500 a year. So
it would be on less than that.
No, that's my point. It'd be less than 500 a year.
Yeah, way less.
So
that's interesting. I get it from the point of view of the Broncos that they want to give as much playing time to the young guys as possible. It's the only way they develop is put them in the situation to do so. It never hurts, though, to have an experienced head to step in if required. So, I don't know. And if you couldn't tell before, I was being sarcastic with regards to McCulloch helping the Dragons create points.
You guys need a hooker, don't you?
No. We just need ours to be innocent. So, other news, Magic Round will return with fans despite the 2020 disruptions. Okay, and they've announced that there's 3-day festival tickets for as low as $229, and it will be played out of Suncorp Stadium again. So remember, Magic Round is 4 days worth of footy, all played out of Suncorp Stadium. All 8 teams play out there from Thursday through to Sunday. So start looking ahead for those tickets if you'd like. And there's a draw for Magic Round available on the NRL website. And that is the end of all the tidbits of information. And we're going to be right back with you after this quick break with our season preview of none other than the Canterbury Bulldogs. Jared is going to kick us off on our 2021 Bulldogs season preview.
Okay, so first one is the Canterbury Bulldogs. They were established in 1934 flat. Not talking about that anymore. They've won 8 premierships in that time. Bulldogs been around, mainstay for a decent amount of time. My dad actually supports them. So last year, they came 15th. What are your thoughts on that, Adam, of them 15th? Do you think they earned it? Do you think they didn't?
Okay. So we've got to be straight up honest. They had the least talented roster in the league. They're a boring team to watch because they just didn't have elite talent across the board. They punched above their weight in many a game without getting the rewards, and that's what happens if you don't have the elite players to finish games out. If I was a Bulldog supporter last year, I would have been pleased with the effort and then just crying out for some creativity. So I think they deserve to finish in the bottom four based on the product they put on the field, although the effort they played with some of the higher teams could have done better if they'd played with the same amount of effort and pride, I guess, even that the Bulldogs players played with.
Yeah, so they're one of those teams that we always came into the podcast going, look, we love the way they're playing, but as Adam said, they didn't have that talent just to get over that line in the last minute. I was annoyed that they finished 15th for that exact reason. So there were teams in that competition who played with less heart than the Bulldogs did, but because they had elite talent, they were able to get over the line against the lesser teams like Bulldogs and Broncos. So I was really disappointed that they did finish 15th because I really respected the game they played, and I was really disappointed they got rid of Dean Pay because he created that atmosphere amongst the players there. So moving on for that, their big signing this.
So what to remember out of that is hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
Except if you're the Bulldogs.
All right, so the big signing for the Bulldogs this year is obviously their new coach, Trent Barrett. With all the player signings, we'll get into that in a minute. This is Barrett's probably last chance as an NRL head coach.
Second chance.
No, last chance.
Ooh.
Well, the way I see it was that he was assistant coach for many years, was touted as the next NRL coach, went to Manly, failed miserably, got kicked out of there screaming. He came out and actually blasted them for part of the reason he wasn't able to coach them was, facilities, this kind of all kinds of reasons. And it was funny because Des Hasler turned around and said, look, mate, I won 2 premierships. For those with less facilities, I just coached my team better. So that was an interesting little thing a couple of years ago. So he left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths when he did that. Turned around from that, he went to assistant coach at Penrith, and he was an attacking coach, which led them to a grand final appearance last year. I think it was signed in the first week of the finals to go to Bulldogs, but it was touted for about 3 months before that. One of those worst-kept secrets in the NRL things. So I believe that he has a team this year. The question is, how much is the board going to tolerate if they go unsuccessful to 2 to 3 years? So obviously he's building, but he's went out and bought so many.
Do you say how long's the board going to tolerate if there's failures for 2 to 3 years?
Well, look,
a long toleration. Toleration.
Sorry,
long time of
tolerate.
Yeah, it's a long time to tolerate a coach if it's losing for 2 to 3.
Well, that's my point. Like if he comes in and goes, look, it's going to be building. We're going to take a few years to get it, but he's not showing any signs. Are they going to hook him? Or are they going to stay on to him like 3 to 4, 5 year contracts?
Nope.
I don't know. Because the board at Bulldogs since 2015 has had to put up with a lot of shit.
It's steady.
A lot of losses. Now. Yeah. So that's what this new board that's going to come in, because they've had a bit of an upheaval in the last 18 months. What direction are they going to go? Success or nothing? Or are they going to go, oh, we'll give you mediocrity for 2 to 3 years or 2 years, and then you have to be better? I don't know. It'll be interesting next couple of years for Bulldogs. Next point.
The one thing with Barrett there is this is his team. They've obviously backed him. They're the ones who bought him. They're the ones who signed him the length deal. They've given him all this money and saying, you buy who you want to buy and we'll make it happen. It's good for Barrett because he gets to mold his team. It also does put extra pressure on early.
Exactly.
I think they're going to be looking less at results and more at direction. Is the club moving back in the right direction? Is the team with the coach moving in the direction? And a couple of things will be keeping the effort up from last year. The young guys with talent, are they continuing their development? So Nick Kotrick is going to be the most high profile of them this year, going from a wing position to a highly paid, coveted all-star position, basically, in their squad. Do these young guys continue to develop? Can he get the most out of the halves? And that might mean they finish 15th or 14th or 13th next year. But as long as they're continuing to improve in enough areas and they can see that success will come down the line, I think that's going to be enough to see them through a 2-3 year cycle before they expect the results.
I honestly,
it's just if the fans are going to.
I think next year with Burton and Addo-Carr coming in 2022, I think they've got to be top 8 at least next year. I think that's the minimum they have to get, just because of the team they have on paper. I'm a big believer in the team
on paper.
Next year, I think they will be. And we'll go through the teams there in a minute. Okay, so the outs from them this year, their probably biggest and ex-captain is Kieran Foran. He was signed a few years ago on a multi-million-dollar contract. Hasn't had a hamstring to save his life in that period, so Manly have finally picked him up again, and he's back to where it all started for him. Kerrod Holland retired. Marcelo Montoya is one of the Warriors signings. Kind of gone under the radar. Could do all right for them. Lost their front rower, let's put it that way, to Sharks, Aidan Tolman. Suaso Sue to Newcastle. I think that might be a what's the word?
It's not a needle mover signing, but it's going to add depth for the Knights when the Bulldogs put it.
Yeah, well, it's going to.
Some of the players are still there.
I think that Bulldogs will miss him a lot more than people will imagine, because he was always there throughout. He was just there, and he played a good game. Like, he wasn't outstanding, but he always took the shit run. So I like the signing from the Knights fans, but I'll be surprised if many Bulldogs fans would be happy about losing him. Jack Cogger went to Huddersfield. Isaiah Tass went to Broncos, and Tim Laffey got released. So, I mean, I actually mentioned that to Adam this afternoon while I was sitting in the house. I was surprised Tim Laffey hasn't been picked up by anyone yet. Okay, Inns, big one, Nick Kotrick. He's their biggest signing, by numbers anyway. The next one is Corey Allen. I think this is their biggest signing. I love Corey Allen. He's going to finally get a chance at number 1. Corey Waddell from Manly. Big fella Jack Heverington, aggressive front row. He and Dylan Napa is going to shoot fire every time they play together. Kyle Flanagan in the halves, and Matt Dory has actually been upgraded from developmental deal to a top 30 spot. So that was actually one of Barrett's first internal decisions. So he must have rated him from a distance, or saw him at training for a few weeks and thought he'd keep him on. So obviously these guys, other than the Warriors, are probably the biggest signers this year. Are you happy with that signing list? Any of you would sign?
No. I can see reasons why they signed all the players. They needed upside in points. They needed an improvement with regards to creativity. And they had no X factor. And they've picked up touches of it here. Not enough yet to be a drastic like a huge improvement, but there's definitely some what I call them needle movers. When you make a signing that really makes a change to the outlook of a club. So Corey Allen pick up out of nowhere, that's a needle moving signing, because he's a proven commodity, and he showcased that in the Origin arena when there's a lot of people who still didn't know what he was capable of. Nick Kotrick is a needle mover. He's a massive upgrade over everything they've got. Kyle Flanagan has the ability to be a needle moving signing, but it's a completely different environment to what he was at in the Roosters. So Yeah, I like what they've done so far. They're still 3, 4, 5 players away for me for being a finals team, centering around hooker in the halves. And I know they've got Flanagan. I know they've got Burton next year. There's wraps on them, but neither of them have done anything extraordinary yet to showcase that they're going to work together to be able to take a team to a finals, let alone a premiership. They're heading in the right direction overall.
Yeah, that's right. And with the X Factor, obviously they're going to sign. They're going to get Addo next year, which is going to be huge. Big thing on Kotrick, though. So he was on the end of a great backline at Canberra. Now he's going to be the centerpiece at Bulldogs. Let's hope he can step up to that. I really do. Okay, so my team that I think is going to run out in the first round. Corey Allen, obviously, going to be fullback.
We're just going to play this. Jaden Ockenbaugh, Luke Thompson, both unavailable for selection due to suspension and injury. And there was one other who I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll find out when Jared's going through his.
Okay, so I've got Corey Allen at fullback, Dallin Martins-Lesniak, and Will Hopewade on the wings. Until they're going to new someone else, I got Jack Averillo.
Sorry. Who do you have on the wings?
Hopper and Martins-Lesniak.
Ooh.
I've got Averillo and Kotrick in the centers.
Oh, okay.
And then I've got Wakeham and Flanagan in the halves. I do prefer Averillo at 6, but they need a center. So I just yelled, didn't I?
Yeah, you're very close to your microphone.
Okay, so
Jared's excited.
Averillo has to be there. So
yeah.
Wakeham's at 6, Flanagan's at 7. I got Napa and Ogden up front with Katoa at hooker. I got Jackson. Joe Stimson's back. I love this. I rate him so high. He was playing so well for him before he got injured. I actually remember talking about it on the podcast. Me and Adam were both disappointed. Before this podcast, we actually both said that he would have played for Queensland this year if he stayed fit.
Yeah.
And then I got Adam Elliott at lock. I actually got Nick Meaney as a utility. He can play anywhere in the back line, including the halves. And at a pinch, he can play hooker. Adam's looking at me funny. And then I got Raymond.
With anything he just said.
Raymond, well, it's just lack of players.
I know.
Because Nick Meaney, I just looked at all the people left who could play utility, and he could play to most positions. And
I didn't have a utility. Easy.
I love having utilities. All right, Raymond Fatala Mariner, Corey Waddell, and Heverington, of course. How many changes have you got?
You know what? Like, this is the 4th team we've done. And it shows the issue with the Bulldogs right now in the fact that they don't have talent across the board and they had to bring these players in. Because out of that 17, I had 15 of them. Because there's just not a lot.
Who's different?
You didn't have Matt Dury, did you?
Nah. I just couldn't fit him in. Their back row is strong. And that didn't even include Raymond Fatala Mariner, who definitely deserves a spot. Corey Waddell's high quality, and Jack Everington,
Yeah, so I got a starting spot for Fatala Mariner.
Right.
And I'm not a Bulldog.
Wait. Who'd you drop, Jackson or Elliott?
Jackson.
Oh.
It's like the 3 out of my 4 teams now have the captain on the bench because I see why the Bulldogs fans are going to hate me for putting their captain on the bench. I get it. Raymond Fatala Mariner, Joe Simpson, Adam Elliott are all better players than Josh Jackson at this point of their careers. Josh Jackson's going to give you effort and he's going to give you captaincy, but he's going to give you nothing more than that. He's not going to give you a pass. He's not going to give you creativity.
But they need that. They need
they do. They need it coming off the bench after the first 20 minutes when they're all going to get tired and
okay, who's your other one? I'm never going to agree with this, but who's your other one?
Jeez. Yeah, I got Matt Dury on the bench instead of Meaney.
Righto.
So I, with Martins-Lesniak and Averillo on the wings, I think Hopewade played his best football last year when he was at centre, and Martins-Lesniak plays his better footy. Toss that up. But anyway, Kotrick's got a centre spot. Wakeham Flanagan. Yeah. I got Hetherington starting over Napa because Napa's form's just been below average at best a couple of years since he lost his spot.
I actually considered putting them both on just to
Hetherington and
blow
Ogden.
shit up.
So.
I hope they blow shit up.
I don't think Napa's going to blow shit up. He hasn't done that for like 2 years.
Yeah, but I hope he have someone next to him. Then you bring Luke Thompson back when he's not injured.
Yeah, true.
They're going to have a pretty decent forward pack next year.
Yeah. So I've got Fatal Mariner and Joe Stimson starting because they just offer more on the field than Jackson does because they can both run line. Yeah, they're probably not as sound defensively. Well, Stimson is, but Fatal Mariner not so much. Ian Elliott at lock, so Napa, Jackson, Waddell, and Dury on the bench. So a big bench, no utility.
Okay, my player to watch is actually just Kyle Flanagan, just to see how he reacts. Like last year, he went into the Roosters squad, and look, no one in the NRL thinks he played bad. No one at all. I don't like. Everyone was so surprised he even got punted by the Roosters. So this will go a long way to show how his maturity. And look, I think he'll be fine. I just hope he does well and hope it hasn't affected him too much. He's my player to watch.
I'm gonna. If Luke Brooks can get halfback of the year at the Tigers, Flanagan can get halfback of the year at the Bulldogs.
That is all kinds of levels of disrespect to so many people. That is,
I'm just saying, Flanagan's got it in him.
Okay,
to be able to have as good a performance as Luke Brooks did that year.
Who's your player? Who's your player to watch?
That's not saying Luke Brooks played poorly. He played really well.
Bloody consistent. No. All kinds of disrespect to so many halfbacks in a row.
Very similar reasons, but I'm going with, like what you said before, with Kotrick, because I struggle to find a player to watch in here because...
You don't like any of them?
No, there's players in here I like, but I think the ones who kind of have a point to prove are Kotrick and Flanagan, and they're the two that are coming in under the most pressure to me. Corey Allen was such an out of nowhere signing. I think he's just going to slide in, just do his job. Hetherington is there as a firebrand. He'll be fine. But Flanagan and Kotrick are the two that have the pressure on their shoulders coming in. And like you said, Kotrick's always been on the end of a back line. He's played games here and there in the centres for the Raiders, but even then he's getting the ball off better halves behind a better forward pack. So how much of the dirty runs is he going to take? How often is he going to still get back as a centre? Is he going to be calling for the ball? Are they going to give him early ball? How much can he create himself instead of being created for him? And that's what comes with his price tag. He's got to be creating tries for himself due to his speed, his size, his skill. That's what I want to see out of him this year. I'm really going to be interested to see how much ball and how much early ball he's getting. And see if he can put this back line and team on his shoulders and just carry them with him.
Okay. Key to success this year? Do you have any ideas for him to be successful?
They've just got to keep the attitude and keep the effort from last year. Ensure that's coming to training every day, which we won't know. We'll only hear in the media. But they've got to control. They've got to look to control the game more. The thing I noticed last year, without foreign on the field, Lachlan Lewis, Jeremy Marshall-King, who else? Cogger. Whenever they're in the halves or hooker combination, not one of them put their hand up to control the game. Even when they didn't look like scoring points, getting a repeat set, kicking it dead, whatever they needed to do to control the game. At least look to do that this year through Flanagan. To a point, Corey Allen, if he can add that to his game. But keep the effort and attitude from last year, and just hopefully Barrett's going to bring some creativity to them and some flair.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I just got to add some polish to their attitude. That's pretty much what Adam just said, but add some finishing, because they've definitely got the right attitude to go deep in the finals. They got proven last year. We said it. They just needed to finish off. The amount of times last year they're hitting the line, and their attack was as bland as shit. And that's what I want the polish to finishing. Finishing something off to make it look, better. Hopefully that works. I'm putting them at 14 to 16 next year as well. And I'm not really like they've made a lot of signings, but I just think that there's been too much shit in the media about Burton, and it's come out a couple of days ago that Ivan Cleary's supposedly given Barrett a call time to back off about Matt Burton,
like that,
because they're not going to let him go.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, which is good, but like with these players coming in next year, especially Burton and Adokar, how are the halves going to react to this? How is Wakeham and Averillo going to go, oh shit, okay, they're pushing so hard for him, but they'd rather have him now. He's definitely coming in next year. Am I going to play for my contract?
Yeah.
Or if I'm going to play to, for someone else to, I need someone else to pick me up? Or are they going to go start kicking stones and stuff like that? Like, it would suck for them knowing that their position for a long-term period is not guaranteed. And if it was guaranteed, if they get a 3-year contract, the way Bulldogs are looking right now, the players like Averillo, like Wakeham, aren't going to get high-end contracts, even if they do play this well this year, because they're putting all their money into other players. They've already developed a plan in those positions. So it's very, very hard for those kind of players in key positions this year for Bulldogs to step up. So it'd be interesting.
They've got, it's not just them, 15 of the top 30 at the Bulldogs in the final year of their contract. So Bulldogs
so that's huge.
A lot more money to play with as well next year. And that's already after signing Burton and
Adokar.
But yeah, I've got them bottom 4 as well, because they've added quality, but they've missed quality in the key positions of 5'8" and hooker. And I know the game's changing, but those two positions are still incredibly important.
Massive.
And they don't have enough clubs there. So I've still got them finishing bottom 4, but they're going to beat teams they weren't beating last year on their day.
Yeah. When you look at it, last year, the top three teams were Penrith, Melbourne, and Parramatta. And all three of them had probably barring injury, Josh Hodgson, probably the top 2 are the best 2 hookers in the competition last year, in Coruscant and Smith. And then you put Marnie in at 9 for Parramatta. He was probably, easily one of the top 5 hookers in the competition. So hooker's important, but the thing is Bulldogs are lacking in that position.
Yes, very much.
Okay, so the next team, Newcastle.
All right, we'll be...
All right.
Who's going to kick this one off? I'm guessing you are going to.
I got it. Okay, established in 98, won 2 premierships in 97 and 01.
You're saying 98?
No, 88. Sorry.
You said 98.
Oh, sorry. Established in 88, premierships 2. Okay, last year. All right, so I'm very mean to Newcastle. Their last year was shithouse for me. When they knew they were going to play a top 8 team, they performed. When they walked onto the field against a team they were expected to beat, they're arrogant.
Can I put that into context?
Bulldogs.
Well, no, like literally by numbers. I was like, you led this into it perfectly. We're talking about attitude. The Bulldogs' average loss margin last year was 15.2 points. That was equal with Parramatta, who finished 3rd. It was better than the Knights, who finished 2nd. It was better than the Titans, who finished 9th. Sorry, 7th, not 2nd. It was better than the Warriors. It was better than the Seagulls, all teams that finished above them. So their average loss was lower than 5 teams above them. The difference with them, their average winning margin was 12, whereas the Knights was 16.8. So there's only a 4 difference between the Knights' average win and the Knights' average loss. So you're looking at a double 17, 34-point swing either way.
Yeah, so they really annoy me with their inconsistency. And then they got smacked in the first round of the finals last year. There's been a lot of reports come out recently about culture and stuff like that. Like, a couple of years ago, everyone criticised the Broncos for being out on the drink the night before a premiership game. There's been reports come out the last couple of days saying that Newcastle were out on the drink nights before the Bulldogs game last year and stuff like that. So when that comes out, there's also the whole rumoured Adam O'Brien story that's come out this week. So if it's true, I don't even know what to say.
I'm pretty sure he was just talking to the toilet.
Yeah, so...
Know who I am.
It's come out that he came out and, he was at Newcastle
Adam
races.
O'Brien came out.
He was at Newcastle races and he dropped the line to the security guard when he was causing a ruckus. Do you know who I am?
Nope.
As soon as someone says that, or if he dropped the line, which is worse, if you went to a pub and goes, I'm paying your wages, that is the same level for me as that. And it just... Newcastle denying it. But it's at the Newcastle races. I don't know how many NRL coaches during NRL preseason would be driving up to Newcastle for the races. I doubt it. So, yeah, that's coming out. Find out if it's true. That's going to come out next year. Okay, so I'm not happy about their season last year. What about you, Adam? How do you rate their season?
Well, they finished 7th, 23 points, 11 wins, 1 draw, 8 losses. They finished around about where I expected them to finish. I had them between the 7 to 10 mark, the lower end of the top 8, higher end of the bottom 8. I think they stole a couple of wins here and there. I also think they blew a couple of wins here and there. Pure inconsistency, which I thought they were going to get out of their game with Adam O'Brien coming in. But the other side of things, outside of maybe Manly, Newcastle were probably the team most decimated by injury throughout the season.
Oh, yeah.
In key positions with Connor Watson, Jaden Brayley, and Blake Green all going down and in key positions.
Andrew McCulloch.
So we're going to the Seagulls next, and injuries were a theme of their season as well. And you do have to think, if those players had stayed fit and looking at the position they finished, what could have happened? But they ended up around where I expected them to. They improved from the year previous. I expect them to do something similar this year. But yeah, no, they're probably the first team where I expect them to finish where they expect. They're probably the first team we've done who finished where I expected them to finish.
All right. So their losses this year. Herman Sasa went to Gold Coast. Tim Glasby retired. Aiden Guerra retired. Mason Lino, backup 5'8", went to Wakefield Trinity in England. Sione Matautia went to St. Helens. Andrew McCulloch, he was a trade, by the way. He went back to the Broncos. And Tauta Moga, South Sydney. Jesus Christ, we lost a lot of back rowers and front row. We lost a lot of forwards this year. Okay. So gains, we got Tyson Frizzell. That's our biggest gain. He'll be massive for us. Blake Green, he is a funny story. So he went from New Zealand to Newcastle, signed with the Bulldogs, and then he had a chat with Trent Barrett, and Trent Barrett's like, mate, you got an ACL, Rico. We can't use you.
Go back where you came from.
Pretty much. And then Newcastle signed him.
You're not a chair.
Bailey Hodgson, back over England, nephew of Josh Hodgson, young fullback / 5'8". He's only 18 or 19, so see how that goes.
It's the young.
Shut up, Adam. Jack Johns, Newcastle royalty, nephew of the great Andrew Johns and son of Matty Johns. So, I love that joke. How good is it? Came from South Sydney. Braden Musgrave came from Cessnock. Garrett Smith, I know from the Cowboys. Suaso Sue from the Bulldogs. And Dominic Young, he came from, I think, the Maroon team in England's Castleford. Anyone's not seen his highlights, he's about 8 foot tall and he's quick. So hopefully he's good, but as Adam said, he's young, only 18 or 19.
I think Scott Minto.
Okay, so this is the round 1 team they've got coming up. Obviously, there's a few injuries. Ponga's injured, Green's injured, Fitzgibbon's injured. So this is what I've got here for, I think, will be the first round. Hoy will start at number 1. Obviously, Ponga will come into that. Edric Lee and Stafford Toa will go on the wings, with Bradman Best and Heimel Hunt in the centres. And then you got probably Kurt Mann, but I want Connor Watson to play 5'8". And then you got Pearce at halfback, David Clemmer, Safidi up front with Jaden Brayley at hooker. You'll have Frizzell on the right edge. For the first round, you'll have Brodie Jones playing second row on the left edge. And then you have Mitch Barnett a lock. On the bench, you'll have Mann or Watson, Daniel Safudi, Salaso Sue, and Pasami Solo on the bench.
Is it Jacob Safidi on the bench?
Yeah. Daniel Safidi starting, Jacob Safidi on the bench. Okay, how many people you got? How many names did you even recognise in that, Adam?
I got 16 of 17, same as you.
Jesus.
Yep.
Don't even talk about the 5'8".
Oh, 5'8's going to be Kurt Mann, damn straight. It was your best half last year.
Go suck a dick.
No.
It was the reason we lost all those games.
No. He's also the reason why you won half of them.
No, he was not. Trust me, he wasn't.
Connor Watson's
if he wasn't there, oh no, I'm not even going to get into it again.
No, you're not. No. Connor Watson's going to play lock, where he's his best suited, and so I've actually put a utility on the bench. Look at me, Phoenix Crossland on the bench.
Who'd you drop?
I don't know.
Jones.
Yeah,
you didn't have Jones. Yeah.
No, I had Frizzell and Barnett playing second row and Connor Watson playing lock for the first round.
Okay. See, everyone's saying that Watson's going to play lock, but
he's a good lock. He plays his footy as lock at the Roosters. Because he'd come off the bench and go into the lock.
Off the bench.
Yeah, but he'd only come off the bench and play lock. He only went somewhere else if someone was injured, not if they were tired.
Yeah, but he's not a lock.
He is.
He's not, okay. Sorry, he's not a starting lock.
He's on this team.
Oh, shit. Okay, who's your player to watch?
Until Fitzgibbon comes back anyway.
You dick.
We talked about him heaps last year, but my player to watch is Tex Hoy, because my understanding a contract year, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we talked about his talent. We saw his talent last year, and we were both confused at different times when he showed what he could do, and then you'd see him the next week, and he'd be out of the top 21. There was still spots available.
And especially when we're lacking attacking options.
Yeah.
We were so...
We were both confused. There's obviously something that Adam O'Brien wants him to work on, or wanted him to work on last year. Whether he's done that in the off season, it'll be interesting to see. I want to see if he's gotten bigger, if he's put on a bit of muscle, because he's not the biggest fella. But I only had. We joked at the start of last season that Tex Hoy was going to play a certain number of games. My brother put that bet down because he shares the same last name as us. We had no idea what he was like. And then actually seeing him play, he's pretty talented. He's quick-footed. He runs the ball with two hands. He runs with his head up, looking around as you want to see from a half or a fullback where he likes to play. He's obviously not going to play fullback for the Knights long term, so they've got Kalen Ponga for at least another 2 years. Does he fight his way into a 5'8" position? It'll be interesting. If not, if he has a killer year, there's going to be clubs around the comp looking to sign him, knowing that he's not locked. So I think it's a big year for him personally. And I think the Knights will be a better team if he's included in their 17. So I just don't want him to overplay his hand when he gets his opportunity. He's one of to me, he's similar to Brandon Wakeham, Jake Averillo from the Bulldogs. These young guys who have talent, you can see it in glimpses, but don't have the consistent run. It looks like Wakeham and Averillo probably may get that, Wakeham more than Averillo this year. I don't know if Tex Hoy will, maybe around Origin time, depending on what happens there. But yeah, that's who I want to. I'm interested in watching.
He reminds me of Corey Allen the last few years. So Corey Allen couldn't get a spot at the Broncos, went down to South Sydney. South Sydney's backline stacked, and he could, there were times where he didn't make the 17 then. Here, so obviously our number one fullback's Ponga. So he'll be the next fullback if Ponga decides to go to Union for his next contract, which is in his favour.
That's in 2023.
On the other hand, people loving the idea of him playing 6. So his fate will be dependent on if they re-sign Pearce, because they just signed Clifford for 2022. So how long are they going to sign Pearce for? Depending how long they're going to do that, is Tex Hoy prepared to wait that period of time if another club comes out and goes, here's $600,000 for you to have the number 6 jersey or number 1 jersey? I don't think we're going to keep a hold of him, because the other side of it is we've got Watson and Mann, who are both utilities. So, and you'd think they're ahead of him in the utility spot as well. Yeah. So I don't, unfortunately, like Adam said, he's a player to watch, but when we're fully fit, I don't see him in the starting 17.
No, me neither. That's
so
why I'm excited as a fan that he's not a Newcastle fan.
Yeah, so
Mann's only signed for this year.
Good. I hope they get rid of him. So I hope. Oh, there goes your background, mate. So I hope they.
And Connor Watson's only signed for this year as well.
Yeah, I don't want him to get rid of. I'd rather Watson than Mann. So yeah, unfortunately, he's going to struggle. Okay, so my player to watch is actually Jaden Brayley. So when he played the first 2 games before he tore his ACL, he was a superstar.
Sorry, we're back from that Children of the Corn episode, if anyone saw my background on YouTube.
Okay, so the player to watch for me, Jaden Brayley, he smashed in the first couple of weeks. I really hope he recovers well. And he linked really well with Pearce and Ponga. So I'm hoping that, he gets a full year and he can prove what he can do, because I think he's a good player. And when he came into the Newcastle team last year, he actually came in as just a tackler. And in the first 2 games last year, he made a few line breaks. If you actually watch the highlights, the Newcastle versus Warriors and South Sydney, I think it was, that we beat, he actually made a few line breaks, which ended up in a few tries, which I thought was awesome. So I'm really hoping he has a good year this year. Things to fix up. Just walk onto the field and respect their opponents, no matter who they are. That's what I think they need to fix up. They can beat every team with the team they have. They just got to show a bit more class and better attitude when they walk on the field, for me. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the respect factor toward teams has to be there. Yeah, because you had a really random winning record last year of teams that you beat and teams that you lost to. It was, it was frustrating. They were a frustrating team to tip as well, because they keep beating teams like that were above them on the ladder but lose to teams below them. It was very similar. It was almost the opposite to Cronulla, who didn't beat anyone in the top 8 all season. But beat everyone below them. And yet you guys still finished above them. And you're like...
And pushing on the attitude thing, that week that we beat Penrith, drew with Penrith, the first week back from COVID, or the second week, whatever it was. Look, they didn't have Cleary, right? But we lost Pearce 2 minutes into the game. He got knocked out.
That was your big injury game.
Yeah, we didn't have Ponga, and I think we lost McCulloch or Green. So we had 3 major injuries in that game. Penrith were missing Cleary, but they still had Kickout. They still had Crichton. They had really good players on that field. And we drew them 10-all. And we actually had a chance to win it. But Bradman Best just, I don't know, he blew his head and kind of threw it behind Edric Lee. So, like I said, like Adam said, when they come up against those top teams, they really step up. But, like, there's games, you know, the South Sydney game in the last game, the first round of the finals. But the Melbourne game at Sunshine Coast that I actually got to go to, they were woeful. They didn't even rock up that game. And that's what disappointed me in most, because they came against Melbourne and they didn't even want to be there for me. It was that bad. And I really hope they step up against Melbourne to see their premiership threat. So that's what I need to change. They need to change for this year. For a prediction this year, if they're not in the top 6, that's a dud season for me. With the team they have, second year under O'Brien, picked up an Australian second rower, like one of the best second rowers in the world. You know, going to have their starting hooker back. It's got one of the best attacking fullbacks in the game. Top 6 or bust for me. That's all I can say. Like, and they got one of the best young centers in the competition. I don't see how they can't be top 6 with the team they have.
Yeah, it was 14-all against the Panthers that game. I'm just going back, first game back from COVID. That went into overtime.
Yeah, it was a massive game. And Stevie, my little brother, was like, "Oh, bet you
Penrith support."
Yeah, you got lucky." I'm like, "Mate, Penrith got lucky that Newcastle didn't beat them that game because But yeah, what do you think what do you think is a good season for Newcastle? Where do you think they're going to be? Sorry.
Well, I find them tough because I don't think at any point last year we saw the Knights and what they could do consistently enough due to injury and due to changes. But then you look at this team's going to start without some key players, but they brought in some talent and leadership as well. I've got him I've honestly still got him in the same range, only because there are teams around them from last year who I also think are going to be better, like the Rabbitohs, like the Titans, like the Warriors have a chance to be. I do think the Sharks are going to go down. But even with all that shifting, I might go from, instead of 6 to 10, maybe to 5 to 9, that sort of range. I don't think they've got quite enough to be in the top 4, but I think they've got more than what's required to get in the finals. But yeah, so I'm going to go in that 5 to 9 range for now, until I really need to sit down and look at every team that's next to each other, and we'll do that once we've gone through 16. But yeah, I've got them in that range with your Rabbitohs, maybe with your Raiders, with your Titans and Warriors if they both lift.
Yeah, see, I think a big one for
a finals this year roster, but there's still a couple of, I think depth will be tested again through injury, like it was last year, and then also through Origin as well. Ponga, Frizzell, you're going to have to replace most likely. Maybe Clemmer if things change there. Saifidi.
Look, I reckon if I rated him so high last year in that first 2 games, I reckon Brayley's a chance if Cook's injured this year to push him out. You don't reckon?
Coruscant. He'll be next off the rank.
Don't worry. So, yeah, I think a big deal for him this year will actually be Blake Green, taking that pressure off Pearce. Hopefully he comes back injured and all good. So, yeah, let's just see how they go. Look, with what Adam said, wouldn't be surprised. Like, there's big question marks over Newcastle this year.
All right, and we're going to finish off
Manly.
With the mighty Manly Sea Eagles. Yeah, all right.
Yes.
So, my boys established 47, 8 premierships, 0 wooden spoons. Captains Daly Cherry Evans going into the 2021 season. 2020 finish was 13th with 14 points, 7 wins, 13 losses. Not the best year from Manly Sanders. Not a great season to watch from a Manly fan point of view. It's a random, well, not a random, a stat that really, to me, hit home because I probably watched it closer than a lot of people. Manly's average winning margin, so when we did win games last year, it was only by an average of 9 points, 9.3. That's the lowest in the entire comp. So when Manly won a game, it was because it was tight. We were grinding out games, all that sort of stuff. That equated to Manly being in 8 close games. There were only 2 other teams who also had 8 close games. They were the Bulldogs, who finished 15th, and the Dragons, who finished 12th. One team, however, had 11 close games, and that was Parramatta Eels, and they finished 3rd. So it showed the importance of winning close games, because 3 of the 4 who played the most finished in the bottom 5. Parramatta didn't. So I think that really pointed out, because, yeah, every time I thought we had a chance of winning, it was going to be bloody close. Last season, from a fan's point of view, disappointing. I think from a pundit's view, disappointing. The biggest thing, and you know, coaches, players, clubs hate using it as an excuse, because you need to put a squad out every week. Tom Dravojevic, George Tafua, Dylan Walker, Joel Thompson, and Fanua Blake, Manes Finau. Finau didn't get on the field, but that's a Danny Levi issue. All spent time off the field, significant chunks through injury and suspension, and that's starting fullback, starting 5'8", starting hooker, starting prop, starting second row. Had a huge impact, put too much pressure on Cherry Evans. He played pretty well last year, but Hasler couldn't coach her way out of it, and the players who came in didn't do a good enough job to get them up the ladder. So, yeah. Lack of effort, lack of consistency all season at Showcase. Their longest winning streak in 2020 was 2 games.
Jesus.
Their longest losing streak was 6. So, that's what happens when you lose close games. What do you reckon, Jared?
Yeah, you guys are just... You throw all the injuries all you want out of them, which they did have a few. But it kind of shows with you guys, like, you've got so much money in the Travojevic brothers and DC. When one of them gets injured, you guys struggle.
Yep.
Like, and unfortunately, Tommy, he's still too young for the stresses that he's putting on himself. I reckon that's all it is. So in a few years, he'll be fine. So when the teams get named, there's a bit of a change that I've been pushing for a long time, which I think will help you guys attack. I really do. But yeah, you just gotta get over the injuries where it comes to depth, because I think you got rid of Brendan Elliott, didn't you?
Yep.
So have you got someone to replace Turbo when he gets injured again? Honestly, like that's because you're.
I think we do this year.
Because, like, for example, last year, I can't remember who they played. I just remember the play. You guys pulled off this block play, and I just messaged Adam straight after that. Looked absolutely brilliant, and it was just because of Travojevic's deception, ball playing, and the fact he was just there. And you guys sent a guy through off a simple block play without even being touched.
Yeah.
Because of the skill you guys had with Cherry Evans passing.
That had Brett Stewart fingers all over it.
Oh, It looks so good. But then, because you base it around and all your salary cap's tied up in these three players, Origin screws you, bloody injury screws you, and that's your issue. Like I'm going to be a bit mean here too. Like, you losing Adam Fanua-Blake, that's fucking huge.
Oh yeah.
Like, Tapau's massive for you, but Adam Fanua-Blake, like, Tapau's a hard running, hit the line and bend it. Adam Fanua-Blake kind of can do that, but he's kind of stepped a bit more, broke out of tackles, offloaded
offload.
Yeah, and that was another part of your attack that you guys based a lot of last year. Because the other side of it is when you got Jag Travojevic playing, he just does that, gets the ball at first receiver, runs to the line just before he gets it behind. And you do it so often, but that when Adam Fanua-Blake created those offloads, just created another dimension, which you're not going to have this year. So
we'll have less of it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually a bit worried about you guys this year because I'm not hoping injuries, but injuries do happen. And when those three are injured, you're screwed. And then you lost a massive string to your attack with losing Fanua-Blake. So you look very one-dimensional to me.
Last year.
No, this year as well. I'm looking at the 17 I've got for you. It's not looking ideal for me. I'm not overly excited about it. Yeah. Not over. So who you got for 17?
We must have a different 17. I'm going to go ins and outs first. So
okay.
Obviously, you've mentioned Fanua-Blake as an out. It's not common when you lose a player like that you get someone in who's going to not completely fill the void, but fill a lot of it. Usually downgrade quite a long way. And the fact that we picked up Josh Aloiai, who's going to go straight into that starting position, he's not the same player of Fanua-Blake. He's not even, I'm not going to say half the player. He's still a very decent player in his own way.
But he's not.
But he's not going to replace he's not going to replace the hit and spin, the aggression, the size, but he's going to bring other things that Fanua-Blake didn't. Andrew Davey from the Eels, Sione Finau, who's the brother of Manas Finau, Kieran Foran from the Bulldogs, Tulutau Kuula. This guy, I can't wait to watch. I don't think he's going to squad maybe around Origin. He's signed through 2020. He's signed through 2022. He's been fast-tracked to Manly's top 30, and he finished high school last year. So he hasn't even played any. He's straight into the top 30. That's how highly rated this kid's been. He's a fullback centre, one of the best attacking players out of rugby league, rugby union. Tremendous speed, supposedly. Played fullback for Manly in the 2018 Harold Matthews Premiership winning team. He's played SG ball 19 and 20. And played Australian schools and under-18 rugby team in New Zealand, as well as being part of the New South Wales Waratahs Rugby Academy. He's a big, fast kid with a hell of a lot of talent and hands, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him. Anyway, Jason Saab from the Dragons, Christian Tuipulotu from the Roosters. They're both signed from till 23 and 24. Alec Tuitakavati, not a whole lot known about him from my point of view, and KO Weeks as well. So some exciting signings there, some old heads as well. Outs, Brendan Elliott released, Danny Levi released. You can't remember that one. Simon Smith released. Joel Thompson, to me, is the biggest loss, and he's gone. So he's been granted a year release. And from the training, it looks like he's having fun, even though he's covered in snow. Corey Waddell to the Bulldogs, Tony Williams released, Braden Musgrave to Newcastle, Abbas Miski to London Broncos, Luke Metcalf to the Sharks. I think it's an underage signing for the Sharks. He's got some talent, that kid. And Fanua-Blake to the Warriors. So a fair bit off the books there, replaced by a fair bit coming on. So I think overall that balances each other out, but in different areas, and we'll talk about that later. Des Hasler's the coach. He's in talks for an extension to become Manly's most winningest coach, and found an odd stat when looking at his coaching record. So he's at 2004, 2011 with the Sea Eagles, 59% winning percentage, 2 premierships. 2012 to 2017 with Canterbury, 57% winning percentage, 2 grand finals, beaten by South and Melbourne, both quite decent teams if you look back. And 2019, 2020, winning percentage of 44%. So an overall winning percentage of 57% from 432 games, which is pretty damn decent. The odd stat, he's never been in a drawn match as a coach. And we had to go back. He started coaching the year after Golden Point came in. But even saying that, that's 17 years of coaching without a drawn game at the end of the 80 or 90 minutes. That's pretty remarkable. What do I have to do to... Oh, no, we've already talked about that. All right.
All right, team, who you got?
Tom Trbojevic, fullback. I went with both new signings, Jason Saab and Christian Tuipulotu on the wings. It's the best wing combination I've seen there in quite a while. Dylan Walker and Moses Sully in the centres. 5'8" was the hardest position for me to pick, but I went with foreign. Daly Cherry Evans at halfback. I quite actually like that back line. Martin Tapau at prop. Josh Alawai at prop. Curtis Sirenen at second row. Andrew Davey at second row. That was the hardest position for me to pick, so I just couldn't find anyone. Jake Trbojevic at lock, and I've got Cade Cust at hooker. Josh Schuster as the number 14. What I'm hoping to see half the way through the season is he switches places with Kieran Foran and Schuster is the 5'8", so I like to look at that backline way better. And then one of the biggest benches I've seen Manly have in a long time. Taniela Paseka, Hamuli, Olakatu, and Tafoa Sipley, ranging from 110 to 130 something kilos.
All right.
That leaves with Morgan Harper as 18th man and depth of Funa, Croker, Finau, Harper, George Tafua, Koala, we mentioned before, Ruben Garrick, Brad Parker, Ben Trbojevic, who's got a chance this year as well, Sean Kepi, Morgan Boyle, and Jack Krzyzewski.
Okay, so I've got Tafua on the wing, but
he's out till mid-season.
Oh, there you go. Okay, sorry. I've got everything else. The big change I love is I was pushing it all last year. Dylan Walker's in the centres.
Yeah,
I really like that. I know Manly had no one else, but he was never a 5'8". So I'm really hoping he goes back to where he won a premiership at South Sydney. And he's got 2 pretty good halves right there to put him along, who have played together for years and years. I've actually got Goswewski at second row.
Yeah, I could say that.
I think he's got way more impact than Andrew Davies. Like Andrew Davies.
He does.
All right, Goswewski. I'm actually surprised you didn't have him in there, to be honest.
He's like Wutmo light. He's quick, but he makes so many mistakes.
I know, but reality of it is you need someone like that.
But he'll cost more games than he'll win.
Like you've got your forward pack. You've just got workers in there. Like you got Siren and Jake Trbojevic, workers. Alawai, worker. Martin Tapau, he's leaning actually more to be a worker than an impact player, to be honest. You need someone who's going to just run into holes, hit people hard. Your back line, you really like that, which is, fair enough, but Sully's on and off. You don't know what Jason Saab's going to be like. He's 8 foot tall, but he runs 100 in about 25 seconds.
He's quicker than that.
Everyone's quicker than that. I like the idea you put that young winger there. He might be a bit quick, but, that's still a debutant. We'll see how that goes. On your bench, I got Sean Kepi there. I think he held you in a few games last year. I think he deserves his spot, but your bench.
I think Tafoa Sipley coming back from injury is going to replace Kepi because Sipley's a better player.
Well, I would have him. I got Paseka, but I'd probably have him over the other bloke, Alatado.
Yeah.
Alatado.
He was good last year.
Yeah, I think Kepi was better. I think they brought on Kepi. He brought on the aggression. He brought on hard running. I'm pretty sure there's one week where he went toe to toe with Rhea Hargraves.
Yeah.
And
No, I like
I
Kepi,
think,
but I think the other guys.
well,
we
it
got
could go either way. I
got a
just
lot
think
of props.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I love Sully, but look, he's hot and cold with the rest of them. He can beat any centre on his day.
Mm-hmm.
When he's off, there's Tafua, there's Manu Zadavai all over him. That's the way I see him, unfortunately.
Rocks and diamonds.
You got all the talent in the world in your back line. You just got to play well together. And I hope Hasley can do that for you.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Ben Trebojevic get a second row spot.
Is that where he plays? He's a second rower, is he?
Second row or centre, and he's meant to be the three of them. So
I would love to see all three of them run out together one day.
Oh yeah. I'll just get his measurements up here because he's still a bit of a string, but he's been putting on bulk. So he's 193 centimeters, 105 kilos.
So he's like Jake's build with Trebojevic's height, with
speed.
Tom's height. Yeah, righto. I don't mind that.
So yeah, he's going to be. He's played New South Wales, obviously. So he's following pretty much the same pathway as his brothers. So he's bigger and heavier than Tom. Okay.
So I think the biggest thing for you guys, I've actually got two people to watch. Tom, just because how good he can be. I just hope he doesn't get injured anymore. But I think the biggest thing will be Dylan Walker in the centres. If he fires, I reckon it's going to unlock your entire back line.
Yeah.
I reckon he's got that much talent to out in the centre where he doesn't have to think. He can play on instinct. He can just play off the cuff, and Foran can just like shovel in the ball. All he has to do is put in a foot, like a step outside his opposing person, and he will beat him. It just depends how well they play together. That's all.
There was an interesting article. I think I can't remember which media publication put it out. It might have been NRL.com even, looking at Kieran Foran's seasons non-injured and where he's had the most impact. And I think most people, when they think of Kieran Foran, they think of his first stint with Manly. That was his least effective stint of football when you take injuries out of it. So his try assists, line break assists, and try statistics created were better at the Bulldogs. And we're not really going to count the you can
Warriors.
Parramatta Warriors era, but it was so short. But yeah, the section of footy at the start, he was least effective, but he was also in a much better team. So he's still got it. He's still got the skill. He's obviously lost the pace and he's lost the physicality that he can put into his game because of the amount of injuries. What Manly has this time, they didn't have last time, is the guy who's my player to watch, who, to me, I look at this guy like I looked at Tom Wright, who I was jumping up and down for Manly to keep, and they didn't, and now he's playing for the Wallabies. But anyway.
Killing it for the Wallabies, will you better say.
Yes, killing it for the Wallabies. Josh Schuster has the potential to be the best player at the end of his career than anyone in this Manly team.
Wow, that's huge.
Mm-hmm. And so is he. 5'80", 185 centimeters, 106 kilos. And when he made his debut last year, he was the kid that Benji Marshall said, that's the best debut I've ever played against. And he got injured towards the end of the season, but this kid is your typical running 5'8" with silky hands, huge size that can just knock second rowers over, let alone 5'8s. And obviously he's still got to work on his kicking game. He's only 19 and he is massive. I'm so looking forward to watching this kid play. He's the son of a former All Black. The nephew.
No, nephew.
John Schuster. And he's just one of those freakish players with that size and skill that I just can't wait to see. So if Manly's playing okay, I want to see him get a crack over foreign. If Manly are flying with foreign, obviously he's not going to get a crack. If Manly are horrible with foreign, he's may get a crack. I just want to see him play. Maybe over Origin time when DCE goes out, where the foreign jumps at halfback and Schuster comes in. He's just got to get in there. And I wouldn't mind seeing Morgan Harper get more of a crack this year, because he came in to replace Brad Parker and did really well for Manly over the last part of the season when there was nothing else good going on. I don't know. I got to disagree. I like our depth. I like Manly's depth more this year than last year.
You know, your depth is there, like with the 7 players you named. But
I'm looking at this team with upside rather than.
Look, I'm just worried about your attack. That's all.
So I'm worried about
no. Sorry.
I'm more worried about defense and attack.
Well, your attack. There's no attack in the middle of the field. You've got no.
That's why I put. That's why I put. Oh, that's why I put Cade Cuss at hooker.
Oh no, I get that, but he's not a hooker.
He's going to be brilliant.
He's not a hooker. He's a 6.
Yeah, but he's not going to get a run at 7 or 6. He's got to make that hooker.
I know, but that's my point. Like he's a. I don't. Yeah. Do you think he's a long-term 9, or do you think you're going to be looking for someone else?
No, our long-term 9's Manasfi now, and once
if he
is up,
if
but if not, Manly get the money back off the salary cap, and you look for someone.
Yeah,
else.
but he wouldn't be on much.
Oh, but he's just been re-signed, so that's still money.
Either way, I just like, you've just got that hard running forward pack. I'll give you that, but there's no real. I don't know.
All right, go back to when Hasler was first with Manly. You look at those forward packs. They looked exactly like this.
Oh, Glenn Stewart. He just changed everything. That was a difference.
Now you got Jake Trbojevic.
He's no level skillful to get Glenn Stewart. No. No, he would not put a grubber in his own 20 and get a try out.
Oh, no, yeah, that was pure luck as well.
No, but he doesn't have the balls to do that. He's too safe. Glenn Stewart did.
Yeah, but that's different to skill. But anyway.
Oh,
Glenn Hall. Mark Bryant. Brent Kite. Josh Perry.
I just think that if you had Glenn Stewart in this squad, if you had someone like Glenn Stewart, Wade Graham in this squad, I'd be a lot happier with it.
Yeah,
that's what I think. That's all I think you're missing. That's all. That's why I pushed for Groswetsky to start.
Yeah.
But you know what? As you said, Des Hasler's there. I rate his ability to create something out of nothing. He's he's a very smart tactical coach, and whatever these players have, he'll get out of it.
Yeah.
He'll get out of it. And that's what he's proven over the last, 15 years, 20 years as a coach, that he gets every bit of talent out of all these players. I just think he has to for this team to be successful.
He's got a pretty, if you've coached 432 games, his winning percentage is almost 60%.
Oh, yeah. He's an incredible coach. He came to the Bulldogs and just, he brought, 2 grand finals. I don't think he won one there.
No.
Manly, okay, let's put it this way. He was the coach who beat the Melbourne Storm 40-0 in a grand final.
And one of the main reasons for that is something that wasn't at Manly last year. And that was fitness and attitude and defense. To come back.
And that's the thing. He is the coach who could make this team really get there, to get that talent out of them. I just see that, and I'm like, I can't see many points in that team. As many points as you're going to need to be successful. That's all.
Well, we've only got to score more than 9 a game. Win by more than 9. So,
what, to beat your last year's average?
Yes. So, for Manly to do better this year, we need Foran to not be injured.
Trbojevic not to be injured.
No, I think Foran bigger impact.
Jesus.
Well, because I think Dylan Walker's absence last year was way underrated because
100%.
with him not there, it led to the biggest issue of Manly last year, which was fifth tackle options. The amount of times Evans got the ball in the fifth and was just hounded by defense because the defense knew he was the only option. Danny Levi was going to do nothing from hooker. Whoever was 5'8" that week wasn't going to do anything. Whoever wasn't going to do anything.
That line right there, and I think that was the main problem to Manly.
Yeah.
Whoever was 5'8" that week.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what our season was like. Whoever came in and just fucking have a crack, man. And then they'd be like, oh, shit, I'm 5'8". Let's give it to the halfback. Oh, Cherry Evans on the ground again.
Do you know what? Despite the fact Trbojevic was injured, I really gained a lot of respect for Brendan Elliott last year. Like, he gave it a go. He blew a few tries that I remember, but look, he wasn't the number one fullback in a team. But geez, you guys could have done worse than having him at fullback for the majority of the last 2 years, actually.
Fullback's becoming more and more important. But because Billy Slater started it all with the change in how the fullback played. But even now, with the coaches being as good as they are, you can block a fullback hole. You can't replace it, but you can block it. You can put someone there like a Jermaine Asako who can catch the high ball, run the ball back, and be adequate defensively. But you're not going to get the sweeping plays, the creativity that the Trbojevic and Tedesco and that can do. 5'8", you can't just block. You need to put something that's going to have an impact in the game. And to me, that's where Manly lacked. Because even if Trbojevic was there, he was only going to get a fifth of the ball he usually does because whoever Cherry Evans passed it to didn't have the skill to pass it.
I've got a question for you. If Dylan Walker was injured, and you had Brendan Elliott who could stay at fullback, would you move Tommy Trbojevic to 6?
Like last year?
Well, I don't think he played there last year.
No, are you talking last year or this year?
Oh, no, anytime. Like, if you had Brendan Elliott, which you don't anymore, but if you had someone who you knew was going to do a job at number 1, Dylan, you had no other 5'8".
You're taking that into the account.
Would you move your star fullback to 5'8" to plug a hole for a month? Yeah, because he's definitely big enough. He's definitely fit enough. He's got the ball skills. Yeah, you'd be happy with that?
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, okay.
Because I do it in attack and then just switch in defense.
It's too much work.
Well, 5'8's not a lot of work. Like,
that's a lot of work.
He can pick and choose what he wants to do, and if there's nothing there, flick it out. Manly's big thing is they've got to have better fifth tackle options. It was too predictable last year. Cherry Evans was getting hit after kick. The kicks were going everywhere. And we were kicking from inside our own half. So getting out, starting sets better fifth tackle options. Kieran Foran being there is going to create that because there's 2 options. It'll give Cherry Evans more depth to make decisions because Foran can pass deep and fast on both sides. And the last thing from there, don't waste early tackles. The amount of sets last year where the first 2 tackles were like a 3-4 meter hit up that did nothing. Your whole set was gone. So the starts to sets and the end of sets, the only thing good about Manly sets last year were the middle. So I see them improving. I think who they brought in is enough to upgrade the team's potential, even though the players that they lost are very talented players.
I think what you guys need to work on is speak to your fucking physios and keep your players on the field. That's honestly the amount of soft tissue injuries you had last year was just insanity.
Yeah. We even had players biting their tongues. Where's the tongue physio?
If you had Tom Trbojevic on the field more last year, you would have made a lot more.
Yeah.
I'm predicting that if you guys push 8, that'd be good, but 8 to 12.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's where I'm predicting you guys next year.
I don't have as
really
easily. I have as comfortably 5 to 8, but not easily, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so 8 to 12. I just believe that you'll be, definitely in the mix, but I don't think you've got the legs in you to make it.
I look at
And
my
if you
prediction for Manly last year was 4 to 6. And
Jesus, you're well
heading.
off.
Well, that's where they were sitting before everything happened. And then I look at this team, I'm like, it's pretty even overall, but things have to click between more players. So I've dropped them a couple of spots.
I just love that you've got a 6 now and Walker can go back to the centre. I love it. It's absolutely fantastic.
He'll play exactly the same as he has the last few years. I'm looking at the ladder. I'm like, yep, Storm will be above him. Eels, Roosters, Raiders, Rabbitohs, there's 5. Yeah. 5 to 8, 6 to 8, somewhere like that. 6 to 8.
Fair enough. All right.
Same range as Knights, Titans, Warriors. Around there. Yeah, cool. We're gonna do jerseys. We're gonna push it again.
Push it again.
I reckon we push it because